So we did all of this. So I've determined, I mean I've never been into a transmission before on a bike or otherwise, other than like clutch jobs, but I've just determined based on playing with these gears that this is first. When this is engaged with this, like when that's pushed over, that's first, and I think when this is pushed over with that as well, that turns it into second. Anyway, so what's been slipping is second gear. If you look in here, kind of hard to see because my light on my camera is blue for some reason. But if you look right there, see how rounded that is? Okay, so I was interrupted while I was recording this. I didn't get to say how you actually remove the gears and replace the gears. It's very simple. What I actually ended up doing to save money is I just took this gear to my neighbor who's a machinist, and he used a Dremel. I thought he was going to use his mill. He just used a really powerful, like, maybe it was a die grinder, I can't remember. And I think there are 3 of these dogs, or whatever you call these, on the gear. They'll be, you know, pretend my hand's a circle, you know, there's one here, there's one here, and then there's one here. So this is basically a female slot, and then this gear has male slots that go in here, and if they're not in here tight, they'll slip out and over, and that's how it rounds this edge. So I just got that cut back to where it was really nice and sharp, and he checked that they were all even by putting grease on each one, and then putting this in here and tightening it, and pulling it off, and then taking it back out, and seeing if they all had, you know, the same thickness grease on them. Basically, it's kind of crude, but it works fine. It works great. I actually just sold the bike, so I can't comment on the longevity of it, but I took it for a very aggressive ride right after I put it together, and no problems. So, anywho, if you actually want to remove the gears, let me go back here. Go back to about right here. Alright. All you gotta do to remove these things, once you split the case, which splitting the case is a huge pain in the ass. I'm sorry I didn't do a video on it. Just go slow, look for all the bolts. Like I said, there's a bolt hiding under the alternator gearbox cover thing. So once you find all the bolts, pull the cover off. These things just come right out. They're just setting in there. They're held in by the case, or by the 2 halves of the case. So you just pull them out. In this case, we pulled this one out. We replaced, I think, this gear. I think it's this one. I don't remember. Pull it out, and then there you gotta take that nut off. Actually, they might all have to go off this side now that I'm looking at this, because there's a bearing here. So this one will just slide off. That one will slide off. There'll be a snap ring, I think, here, and there'll be washers in each. The roller gears, some are splined, some are rollers, I don't know which are which, so some of them will have bearings, so just keep track of how everything comes off, replace what you need to replace, put it back together. It's so simple. Put it back in. The hardest part is splitting the case, and if you can figure that out, you can do anything. It's not that bad. Most of the bolts are easy to find. The hard ones are the one under the, I think there are a couple under the oil filter housing, where the oil filter screws on. And like I said, there's one under the thing that the alternator bolts to, and the starter. And there are a few that hide like that. So just be careful. Take your time. If the case doesn't want to come off, you know, and you're really pulling on it, give it some wax with a mallet around the side, wooden mallet, I mean, or rubber mallet. And if it still doesn't want to come off, I mean, you don't want to bend it or crack it. So just look for more bolts. There's got to be more bolts. So. This is if you have to change forks on a RF600R or a RF900R engine or transmission. I mean, it's all integral. So these are the forks. There's 3 of them, and you can see on my bike, second gear's been slipping, so this fork is getting chewed up. You can see this line. That's where it's been chewing into it. So I bought a used transmission, and luckily these 2 forks are the same thing. The new transmission I bought had even worse second gear slippage than I have, but luckily this is the same fork, so I had like another good fork. So anyway, you can see they're both oriented the same way. This camera's not focusing very well. Hang on a sec. There we go. So all you have to do, first thing, you take off the shift lever. It goes in through the side over here. I don't want to lose this washer. Anyway, it goes in through the side over here, you know, and it comes out over here. So all there was there's a C-clip. This is filthy, you can't tell what it is, but so you use C-clip pliers, pull the C-clip off, and then there's a washer over here you don't want to lose. Pull this guy out, and then he's out of the way, and then there's this small metal bracket here that blocks the rod here from coming out. So then all you do is slide this rod out just far enough so you can get the crappy fork out. So you can see where that was getting burnt. Pretty sucky deal. So luckily this works all actually pretty straightforward here. So you just push your rod back through and you're done. That's a replaced rod. Just make sure these are in their correct grooves here. Alright. If you need to replace this one, all you have to do is take off this upper bracket right here. It's just 2 bolts, and then that comes off and you're golden.